Okay, you guys, I'm back with some more tea and art with Angie. There's my tea. Okay, I thought I would just show you guys just a quick tidbit. I only got like 15 minutes, so I thought I'd do a quick 15 minutes of what I'm working on. This is, I took this out of my little, I have a little small journal I made up of that I just throw all my extra paints in or dilution sprays. So I took it, and it's in here like a Midori, an elastic band. So I can take the pieces out, work on them, and then put them back in. That's how I like to work. I hate to work in a book as much as possible. So I took it out. And these are mop-up pages. These were just things where I just threw paint on, threw paint on, threw paint on. And so then what I did is I took this stamp. This is a dial. I don't know where it's at right now. It's a Diane Reevely stamp, and I stamped it on here. Then what I did is there's a thing called bleach out where you can take, these are Tim Holtz pens. I fill them with the dilution watercolor paints or my homemade ones. So I can use these pens like little water pens. And yeah, they're expensive. They're $10, but I got them when they're 50% off and bought a bunch of them. So anyway, I filled this one with water. I went through and I bleached out as much as I possibly can. So you just take water to this and you then take a paper towel. And I've already done this. And I bleached it out as much as I can. Now, it still looks like there's a lot there left. Okay? And there is. But it's bleached out enough that I can color right over this and do these little check marks like I did. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've already penciled out all the check marks. I'm going to move this out of the way. I've already penciled out all the check marks. So now I'm going to ink them real quick. So let me go through and ink them. So I thought I'd show you guys this part. And I did all these, and I did it in panels. So if right here, like this whole little panel she has out, I did my checkers in that panel and this panel and this panel. I didn't treat it as one whole thing. I did that and it like doesn't work. So treat each section of how she's paneled the dress out or whatever stamp you're using. This technique is awesome for any stamp. You don't have to use a Diane Reevely Dilutions one. I just always wanted this stamp. I think it is so gorgeous. I think this is Night at the Opera. But I did wait until I got it on clearance. This stamp is like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years old. So I waited a long time to get it because I'm cheap. Okay. So I'm just inking in all of my checkered, all my checks. And the reason I'm being able to go so quick is I already penciled them out. So now I'm just inking them. Okay. And this is almost the last one. You guys, I'm loving this. Turn on my camera when I'm working. So much easier. I can give you guys a lot more videos now because I'm just going to turn on my camera when I'm working on some stuff. So much easier. I don't know why I wasn't thinking of that before. Duh. Anyway. Okay. So, I'm going to take and do the purple first. So, this is the pen, and I filled it with some dilutions. I think the purple one's here. Right here. I filled it with this. I'm going to take a little pipette and open this whole thing up and then just fill the ink in here. Or you can use the homemade one. It's how I make it out of the liquid watercolor. Okay. Which I get at Blick's. Okay, so I'm going to do the checkered, do the purple ones, you know how you do it. Oh, you guys are seeing me do it. Okay. And then right there. And I may put 2 coats on because it probably will need it. I did that over here on this last one. And it may not look like completely even. It may have a little bit of a watercolor look to it, but I think it looks cool, so I'm good with that. Now, if you wanted to do this technique and have the whole background really cool, sprayed up how I did it with stencils and all this, then you can make a mask out of this. Take this on a piece of like acetate or clear packaging with permanent ink and stamp that on some acetate. or some plastic packaging. Cut it around. Now you have a mask, so you can put that mask on top of your stamped image and do all your inking. And like, if you want to take, you know, how I do everything, I take, you know, this and spray through this stencil, spray through another stencil, whatever you want to do to make your background up. Okay, you can do all that. And then when you're done doing all your background, then you just lift that mask off and you have this plane right here. And then you can work from just a white background and get exact colors of what you want. But this is another technique to do it this way. Okay, so let's go back to, let's see. We'll do it this way. Okay. I love this. I think this turns out so, so pretty. Isn't it pretty? Isn't it pretty, you guys? Okay, and then we'll go back to the blue. I think it's wild that there's already paint on here, but with these type of really intense watercolors, you can still paint right over stuff that's already been painted once. I know, crazy, but you can. Now, you can do this with your, if you don't have these type of paints or whatever, you can go through with your watercolor and a watercolor and a regular watercolor brush. Okay. Look how cool this is turning out. I think I'm going to, on her blouse, this blouse here, I'm going to make the whole thing purple, I think. In fact, let's just do it right now. Look how cool this is, how fast it works with this watercolor brush filled with the inks or the watercolor. Isn't this cool? I mean, you can just go so quick. Love this. I'm going to do a little shading too with the blue. But look how quick you can fill all this in. Quick, 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 quick. Isn't that awesome? Love that. Okay, let's go back down to the checks. And I'm also loving just to be able to turn on my camera and start like showing what I'm doing. So much easier than sit there planning an entire tutorial and all this. Just as I'm working on stuff, turn the camera on. Duh, Angela, duh. Sometimes I just want to slap yourself in the head when you're like finally realize something that's like been right in front of you the whole time. Okay. So again, filling these in. You guys have got to get these water brushes and then fill them with inks. Either the Diane Reevely's or make your own. And let me explain that. I've explained it the last video and I went through it just really quick just now. Okay. These are Diane Reevely ink sprays. They're basically like a really strong watercolor. Well, there's this liquid watercolor and you get it at Blick. And they're like probably $3.50, not more than $4. But you guys, look, and I use it full strength. And you can totally fill up one of these bottles. Oh, and I get my bottles, these little, okay, these are the ones when I make my homemade ones. Here's like an orange I made, okay, using obviously red and yellow. I get these bottles at my local, not Dollar Tree, it's a local dollar store here. And these ones work so good. Test them out, buy one, test them out, make sure they spray well. But these spray so excellent. And you know, I was just at that dollar store the other day and I meant to buy more of those. Darn it. I'm going to have to go back there and get more. Just because I'm always mixing up different colors and the spray. You don't always find a great sprayer. And so to be able to find the sprayers at a dollar store is awesome. And they're two, you get two in a pack there. So, alright, let's finish this up real quick. What are we on? We're on blue here. Wait. I want purple. Alright. Well, purple here. And I don't know how I've lost track. Okay, blue here. Blue here. Blue right there. And purple. But isn't this fun, you guys? It's fun. It's relaxing. It's quick and easy. I love it. I'm going to shade a little bit with this blue here. may have to run some water over that just so it looks a little bit more sunken in. And we'll do some shading over here. And then we'll shade down through here too. Okay. And we'll throw some shading here. Okay, there we go. We'll see how that, as that dries, how that turns out. I may need to throw some water over that with the water brush, but we'll see how that turns out. Okay, let's go back over here. And the blue. Go every other one here. And you'll know if you're kind of lining things up right, because right next to that should be a purple. If you mess up, oh well, just get yourself back on track. Like right there, there's a blue. So I don't really understand that. Anyway, let's go to a purple. Let's see what we can do about fixing that. Okay. Oh, that is purple right there, because there's a little tiny piece of blue right there. So we're okay. Alright, right here is kind of like a mess up here. Oh well, we'll have to just get back on track. Blue. Okay, there we go. Let's put the purple here. And then if you mess up like I just did, you can take your water brush. Remember it's called bleach out. Well, if I can make this blue, then that's purple. You know what? We're going to have to leave it like that. Never mind. We're just going to leave it. Somehow I got off track with my checkering right there, but whatever. Okay. So let's move on. We'll start right here. Now we'll start down here. Purple. Go. All right, so we'll stop right there as far as that. Let's look at my camera and see what's going on. Okay, you guys, my battery's getting low, but I did want to share with you guys what I was doing so far, and when I do another video, I will finish this up and let you guys see how the whole thing turns out. But this is just a really quick little tidbit and a couple of really quick tips of some things you can do, especially with your leftover paper, how you can turn that into some art with a really cool little dress stamp, and how you can color these in with these water brushes. So just wanted to show you guys that. When I do another video, I'll have this finished up in my next video, and I'll show you guys how this turned out. Okay? All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Okay, you guys, I'm back. I went and charged my camera, so we'll go ahead. I was going to maybe just finish this up and show you guys on another video, but I went ahead and decided to go ahead and finish this up now. So since I have a nice full charge on my camera. Okay, so let's excuse my head. So let's continue on with coloring her up. I have her exactly. It's so funny when you're doing this on film. You have to keep it exactly where you just organized it, or it will be out of frame. Okay, let me just check my color situation here and make sure I have my same colors. Yeah, I know that's the purple. Just a second. Yeah, that's some black that I don't need. Okay, get that out of here. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue that here. We'll start up in the corner there with the purple. There we go. And you guys, I got these water brushes. I told you can fill up with the with either the Dilutions inks or the homemade ones. I showed you guys how to make those. You can get the Tim Holtz pens. I got them actually online through Joann's when Joann's had a 50% off clearance. So just keep an eye out, because that's the time to buy them. Otherwise, you know, you have to like, otherwise you have to do it I mean, because you don't want to pay $10 per water brush. I mean, that's like insane. So you don't want to pay that price. So you will have to, just one second, guys. I'm looking at seeing how I'm messing up here. Because I want it to be, okay, let me start going across this way. You know, it's checked, so every other one's blue, purple, blue, purple, blue, purple, so. Okay, I'm back on track now. Anyway, so that's how I would order them. Michael's may have them, but you know what? When I was ordering mine, Michael's didn't have the pens, the water pens. Oh no, they did have the water pens, but they never had them on. They never had them 50% off. I got them for at Joann's for 50% off. So, just pay attention. Whoever has them on sale, that's the time to get them. And then be able to buy them around $5 a piece, and then you can fill your dilution ink with these, or your homemade watercolors. Okay. Because I love using these like this. So quick and easy and fun. And look how up here, how the shading, when I said I was going to shade, how I shaded, how it turned out. Turned out cool. Okay. A bit of blue got on there. This whole square here looks blue because some of the blue, I got a lot on this section. This blue pen is like leaking out too much. Okay, when you guys are using your pens, you might need to not leave them flat and or upside down, because then the ink really like starts filling up in the bottom there, which is what happened right here. But it's I'm glad I showed you guys this, because this is totally fixable. Just a second, let me make sure I'm still in frame since I just moved my paper. Okay, I'm still in frame. Okay, remember I told you can take your water brush full of water too. Always have one that's full of water. Here's my one that's full of just water. Okay, right here, this blue kind of went into everything. So you can use your water brush, take a little paper towel, and just do a bleach out. See? And it just lifts it right out. Okay. I'm just kind of going to bleach the whole thing because that blue went crazy. Because my pen, like I said, it had been a lot of the blue ink had gotten down into the brush, and too much got on here. But it's not cool how you can just bleach it out. So there's no, if you make a mistake, just use a little water and get it out. Now, if you guys don't have the water brushes, you can still paint in with the dilution inks. Just get a, just use a brush and water and the inks. If you don't have a water brush, you don't have to have this. But isn't that great? Okay, so now, again, see how much stuff is collected on this bottom of this brush? The ink's gone crazy. Just a second, let me get control of my brush here. Okay, I think it's more in control now. And let me get another paper towel. Okay. All right, let's try again with this. Yeah, this is a lot better. So, a lot of times they tell your pens not to store them like this, but with these water brushes, store them like this, because the ink will get too far. The ink will get too much ink will flow to the tip and then start flooding. Start flooding your tip and start flooding your project, which you don't want. Okay. All right, so we're going to continue on. And I'm going to leave my brushes off for now. I don't need to keep putting those back on. Okay, let's see where we left off there. Okay, we're going to start this here. Blue, purple. Well, this is blue. This needs to be purple. Okay, that needs to be purple.
So it's just like a little game of, you know, switching your colors back and forth. I might have to fill this up with the blue so you guys will get to see me do that. Maybe. There's a lot of blue in here. There's nothing left in the pen part, but there's a lot left in there, so we'll see. Okay. And purple goes here. And the blue goes here. Okay. And put a little purple right there. Okay, and let's go. We're going to go straight across with this right now. No, we'll still work it here. I lied. Okay, so I'm going to put the purple here. So you guys can see, it's just, you know, playing the game with your brushes. Back and forth, filling these in. Isn't that crazy? There's still some color left, and you can go right over the color, like this blue goes right over that purple and takes the blue color. Because these inks are so potent that you can do that. It's pretty cool. And even if you make your own homemade ones, like I told you guys, you can make it out of the stuff here. This is just as potent as the dilution inks. I'm sure they would not want me telling you guys that, but I learned it from the Frugal Crafter. She's the one who told us about that and how to make them, how to make the these ink sprays with that liquid watercolor from Blix. So as soon as she told me that, I'm like, I'm in. Because I go through a lot of this dilution spray. I love it. And even when I buy it on sale, it's still $5, you know? So, it's expensive. Because if you do it a lot, then you're always buying bottles of ink. Okay, so now, let's go over here. And we'll start with the blue. And you know, we'll just do every other blue and then we'll do that right now. Just for this row. There we go. Okay. And then on this one, we will start with purple. And do all these ones purple. There we go. These with the blue. Okay. And you don't have to be super, let me make sure what I'm doing. Okay, here we go. You don't have to be super careful about what you're doing. You can be a little bit messy about it. It doesn't have to be all perfect, which is really nice. No perfection here, people. No perfection here. Okay? Okay. Just playing the pen game here. Need to add a little more purple on this one right here. Okay, and then purple here. Alrighty, and let's go down to this little bit left here. And we'll start with purple. Okay, and purple here. And blue in the center. some blue here. And again, you guys, how I started this whole thing, we'll put the purple here. How I started this whole thing is this piece of paper was just a, like a little blotchy spot sheet, like just one of my extra sheets that I just kept throwing watercolor on from another project. So let me just do this. Let me focus for a second. Okay, before I did this, I was doing another sheet. Let's just suppose I was doing this sheet here. And I sprayed like 3 different colors. The teal, the blue, and this purple color. Okay. Then after that, I would take and so after that, and I'd spritz it with water. Well, there's a ton of ink on here, so I just take that ink and go onto another sheet like that. And so this is just like one of my little, extra little not wasted papers, but one of my papers that I just go ahead and throw my extra paint on. In this case, my extra watercolor or these inks. Okay, then I take my stencils and I start layering stencils and putting sprays. And more stencils, more sprays, more stencils, more sprays. Okay, I also do a bleach out thing too, but I will discuss that in another video. But that's how I got the background here. Okay, and then from there I went ahead and used this dilution stamp, and I stamped on here. Let me see if I can find that dilution stamp really quick. I think I have it right here. Yeah, here it is. This is the stamp right here. Isn't it cool? And I did not pay $12.99. I bought this off of Discount Warehouse, Crafts Discount Warehouse, I think. And I only paid like, I think, $9.99 or $8.99. It was on sale, on clearance. Because this stamp is like old. It's like 3 or 4 years old. And so I stamped that on. I also stamped on some of the hats on the bottom. And then from there, I went ahead and drew in with pencil some checkers. In each section, I did it separately. It doesn't work out to try to do it all together. Just do it in these like panels. And then from there, then I used, then I black inked it out, which you guys saw. And then you guys see me at this point, what I'm doing. So just kind of wanted to give you guys the history of how I got here in the first place. Okay, so let me just finish. Purple. Purple. And blue. A little purple needs to go right there. Blue right here. And even though I went ahead, there was color on here after I stamped it, and I told you I took the water and then I rubbed it, and then I take a paper towel and you hit it, and you do that all over to kind of bleach out the color. There's still some color left, but like I said, these pigments are so potent that you can go ahead and color right over it. And then it leaves some highlighted spots and stuff, which I think it looks really cool. So I like it. I like the look. Okay. Oh, you know what? I remember how I did the shading right here. I need to do a little bit of shading on the collar. So let's do a little shading into here. And we'll throw in a little bit right there. Okay, we'll throw in a little bit of shading right there. And when that dries, it'll shade up really nice how this did. Okay, so now let's just paint in the hats real quick that are at the bottom. This was also a part of the same stamp, those hats right there. So now I can show you guys again that bleach out process. So you take your water brush with just water. Is this it here? The heck? I don't know why my water brush all of a sudden looks mucky, but anyway, what is in here? Okay, you guys, my water brush all of a sudden looks mucky. It might have got hit by something else, and this water brush is empty. Okay, so this water brush is empty. So what I'll do is I have some water here on the side, and I'm just going to dip into some water that I have on the side. Okay, so anyway, come in here like this. Get this nice and wet. Let it sit there for just a second so it can kind of start bleaching the color out. So whenever you make a mistake or you need to remove color to add more color, the colors that you want, this is what you do. Now, the pink that's underneath this, I forgot to tell you guys this, because like I said, this was I was throwing all my extra watercolor leftovers onto this. Also, I actually threw on some acrylic paint first, and then I threw watercolor over the acrylic paint. So I can only bleach this out so far because there is some pink on here. But see how there's still some left? That's fine. It's bleached out enough that now we can throw on whatever color we want. So, no major. Okay. See how it's all just lifting right up? Fabulous. And then just go like this and bleach it out. But see how much has been bleached out? There's other really cool techniques you can use this bleach out and then add color back in with leaves. Anyway, I'll show you guys that technique. That'll be another video. But there's some really other cool stuff we can do. Okay, so let's do one of these hats purple and one of these hats blue. So we'll do this one purple. We'll just do the whole hat purple. See how even though there's like color underneath it, it like still like the color's so potent that it just takes over. Isn't that cool? I love it. Okay, and then we'll make this one blue. Now it's such a weird angle because I have to be under the camera. Okay. Now I have some like little white, I think I used white paint for these little flowers to a stencil. And those will probably still pop up. See, it did right there. So that's kind of cool. So little surprises are going to totally happen for you, which is really cool. Okay. I wouldn't have the lines right there. And you could just not care about that. But I'm just going to bleach the back out. Okay, there you go. I mean, you could say, who cares? And so what if you're out of lines? But I don't know. It bothers me. Okay, so we're going to do some shading in here, in this hat. So, we're going to put some shading in here. And we'll shade this here. And we'll do a little shading here. There we go. And when that dries, that should dry really cool. And then here, why don't we shade with the purple? We're going to shade with the opposite. And again, we'll just do some shading like right in through here. Oh, it's so weird to color like this or to use my brush. All right, this isn't going to be as cool as I want it because I have my arm at such a weird angle. Okay, I got it. Okay. God, that's weird. Okay, and then I'm going to put a little shading up into here. And up into there. I'm going to put a little bit right there and a little bit right there. And we'll let this be like the sun's hitting all the rest of it there. So, I think that looks cool. 1 second. We're going to put a little bit more shading right here, like where they have this right here, these little things. Because that's supposed to be representing a little bit more darkness there. Same thing here. Okay. Go back over that again. Get that nice and dark. Okay. And this too. And a little bit of darkness there, and up to here, and a little there, and a little here. Okay, so we've got a little bit of shading on the hat. And you don't have to do any shading. I just wanted to do a little shading. You don't have to do that at all. You can just color it in and be done with it. But look how cool this turned out, you guys. I am loving this. And this is all with these techniques I learned from, well, some are Dilution, what's her name? Diane Reevely or Dilutions techniques. Some are my own. But I really like how this turned out. I'm just going to dry it really quick. Oh, cool. I love how the shading is and everything too. Okay, let me see how much time we have because I might go ahead and do like a border or a frame on here. How much time do we have left? We have 21 minutes left. Okay, we don't have too much time before my thing's going to turn off. But you can always come here and make a border going around, which I really, really want to do. So you know what? I'm going to stop this camera and then restart. So you guys will still be here. I'll be back. Okay. I wanted to put a little border or a little frame around her, around this. So let me think of what I want to do. Do I want to do vines? Do I want to do flowers? What do I want to do? You know what? I want to do vines. I think vines will look good. There's not that much space. Just one second. Let me look through my stuff really quick. You know, because this would look really cool as a border too. Let's see. Now, I think the vines would look good. Okay, yeah, let me do the vines. Because then I can show you guys too, adding okay, even on top of these watercolors or these inks, you can use acrylic paint, especially black acrylic paint. If you use white, it's going to come through, but, which would be cool too because you would get some of the color pickup, but we're going to use black, so nothing's going to come through once we use them. Just one second, I'm looking for my, oh, it's my stamp, not my stencil. It's a stamp I'm going to use. Okay. You guys know how it is. Once you start collecting so many things, oh my gosh, it gets confusing after a while. You're like, what do I have? I don't even know anymore. Okay, here it is. It's and this is another dilution stamp set right here. Isn't this cool? Love those leaves. I just ordered another one, and the stamps are going to be bigger, so I'm really excited about that. So let's go ahead and use these leaves, and we're going to stamp them on. And do I have my, yeah, where is my stamp at? Here it is. You guys, look at this box. Isn't this cool? Something came in this box, and I just love it. So I keep all my little extra stuff that I always need, like right in this little box. I love it. It's really cool. Anyway, I love cool, anything that's cool. It's graphically. So I obviously have trouble throwing away things. Okay. Let's put that on the water brush there. Okay, where did I put my, there it is. Okay, so let me put my stamp on, my leaves. Okay. And let me make sure we're in focus still. Yeah, we're in good focus. Okay. So, let's go ahead. Ink this up good. And I'm going to show you another two techniques. So we're going to put this on here, and then right next to it, do it again. Okay, and do it, and you can do it one more time, especially if there's that much ink on there. And it creates a little shadow. See? And then kind of, yeah, we'll go over the skirt just a little bit so everything's kind of encased. And then right next to it, do it again, so you have a little bit of a shadow. Okay. Here we go. And then do it again right next to it and create a little bit of a shadow. And you're still kind of going over what you just did for the shadow, okay? And then down here. And then right there for a little shadowing. Right there for a little shadowing. There we go. And I like going over things, like going a little bit over the dress and a little bit over the hat, because it brings everything into the picture. It doesn't look like everything's separate. It doesn't look like the dress is separate from the hats and the dress is separate from the leaves. It's all one picture. So that's why I like doing that. Even when I do some of my own art, I always will, like if I collage like a girl over my scenes, I always take the scene and start putting her into the scene. So, you know, she may be getting hit by some wind and lightning, and, you know, water may rush over a little part of her or something. So make everything kind of cohesive. Okay, I don't want to go majorly over this, but a little bit. Okay. There we go. And a little shadow stamping. That looks cool. In fact, I want to just get one little piece right here. Okay. I think these leaves look really cool. Okay, and then we'll do a little shadow right there. And there's a lot of ink on here. Usually my shadow stamping isn't so dark the second time. There we go. That's the kind of shadow stamping you want. A lot of ink's been coming on here. It's weird. All right, we'll go right there. And then a little shadow there. Perfect. ink right on top of that. There we go. Do a little shadow. Okay, and then we'll do a little more inking down here and a little shadowing right there. Okay, I love how that looks. Love it. Now, I'm going to show you guys something, and we're not going to do this whole thing here because it would take too long, but I want to show you how you take a white gel pen and really bring out these leaves. Okay, just 1 second. I have such a mess going. Okay. Let me just put this other water over here. Let me put this over here. Just a second, people. Just a second. I've got to clean myself up. I'm like a wreck over here. Okay. Okay, and I can get rid of that. Put this away. Sometimes you just have to take a second and like clear things out, or you're gonna like start like spilling everything and knocking everything over. Okay. I always like to have some baby wipes, which I get this little container from the Dollar Tree and fill it with baby wipes. It keeps my baby wipes a lot nicer. I like to buy them cheap and buy them in the plastic, so I need a container. And it's even better than the original baby wipe container. Anyway, I just like to wipe them off with a baby wipe. Keep them clean. Hey Shonda, I started doing that now because I was just before I would just keep stamping until there's no ink left, and that's how I clean my stamps. But I started seeing her do that, and then I saw Diane really do it too. I thought, you know what? I need to be cleaning my stamps better. I'm probably ruining them. Okay, so that's all clean and done. And that's giving this a little time to dry. Okay, let me sit with the heat gun just to make sure. It's only, stamping ink, but let's just make sure. Now, if you want to go in and white ink any of this in here to kind of bring things out in here, you can do that too. But wait a good 5-6 hours for this paper to dry before you do that, or you can ruin your gel pen, or especially a white paint pen. So I like to use a white gel pen because it's nice, has a nice pointed little barrel on here, and come in here and not the ones that are in shadow, leave those alone, but the ones in the front, just give a little trace, okay, like that. So let me do quite a few of these, and then you guys are going to start seeing these come alive. Because when you do them, it looks a little bit dark when you first get it all done. You're like, ooh, that looks a little dark, but not once you start doing your white jelly pen. And do you need to be perfect about lining this? Nope, you don't. Because the eye just fills in for the rest of it. It just fills in like, oh, that's perfect. So don't even worry about it. Do it however you want. And especially not going to be perfect when I'm working at weird angles because I'm working around this easel. Okay, so then over here we can do another one. Now, you never want to do, well, you can do whatever you want to do, but if you want to keep these leaves in the background so you have dimension in your picture, don't run your highlighter, your white jelly pen, or your white paint pen. I'm using a white jelly pen. If you only have a paint pen, use paint pen. You know what else can look cool? Outlining and highlighting like this in silver. And maybe gold will look cool too. But I've done silver before because like my gel pen ran out, my white one, and I used silver. That turned out really cool. Okay. And then there we go. So I'm not going to do all these leaves because that would just take too long. Okay. But I wanted to get enough done so you guys can see the effect. You know, let me just come over here really quick. And sorry if my hands are in the way. You guys, I have to kind of get over this camera. So sorry if it's weird working around this this camera and this tripod thing. The tripod's totally in the way, but we have no choice. Okay, so I think I've done enough right there so you guys can see. Look how cool that looks. I mean, I'm going to look through the camera really quick. You know, it's addicting not to do this whole thing. I keep saying I'm not going to do the whole thing because it's going to take too long, but like, it's super addicting to keep lining. I just want to keep lining and lining and lining. One second, you guys. I do want to try this. I want to see what this looks like. You were to line. And I told you guys not to do this yet because it could still be kind of wet. Yeah, that's really not going to show up that well, so I would leave it like this. I really wouldn't line anything inside of here. Okay, I think this looks so cool. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else. And then again, I would just continue this lining all the way around. Let me see what you guys are seeing in the thing. Yeah, I think this... Let me take off my glasses. I think that turned out really, really cool. And the shading on that hat, I think that look turned out really pretty. The shading on the shirt, on the blouse right here, turned out really pretty. I think the whole thing did. I'm going to see if we can't do any close-ups. Anything closer. Okay, guys? Excuse the camera because it could get crazy. Okay, good. It didn't. Sometimes my camera gets crazy when I hit that. So I just want to get a little closer up. See how cool that looks? And you guys, I will be doing like how I exactly do like this background. How I told you guys I sprayed the backgrounds and all that. And then use stencils and layering. I will show you exactly how I do the backgrounds. But I was at the point where this was just what I call it my mop-up sheets. That's what it is. This was a mop-up sheet. And I wanted to show you what to do with a mop-up sheet when you use the homemade or the Dilutions ink sprays. Okay. And then there's the hat at the bottom. And then there's the leaves at the bottom down here where I need to go ahead and highlight all those. But I'll finish all that. But I wanted to show you guys. I think this turned out really cool. And this turned out really neat. And I hope that you guys got a few tips. And you guys can, you know, get yourself some Dilution spray inks and start doing some cool stuff like this. Start getting some of these pens and start filling them with ink. Okay? And or make your own with the, right here, Blick's Liquid Watercolor. And start making your own. Okay? Alright, you guys. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd love for you to do so and give my video a thumbs up. That would be awesome. I know you can't always make a, I'd love for you to leave a comment. And I know you can't always leave comments on everyone's video because you know what? You know, you don't have all day. But if you could at least give my video a thumbs up, that also helps you guys, okay? And also share, tell someone about me. And I think that's it. All right, you guys. Oh, the next thing I need to share with you guys, and I'm about to make the video right now, is the art cards, like the collage with paint over it. I talked to you guys about that last week, and I'm gonna do it. That's the next video coming up, but I'm not going to do exactly art cards. I'm actually going to do an entire collage and paint piece. Like, okay, let me just show you really quick. Like this piece here. Okay. This is my girl. And the rest of this is collage, but then I do paint on top of the collage and I turn every piece of collage that I use into something else. So I'm going to show you guys how I do this, but I'm going to show you on a big collage sheet because that's what I'm working on next. And so I'm not really working on art cards. So I'm going to exactly show you how to do one of these. Okay. But from there, if you want, you don't have to make the project this big. You guys can make art cards. So either way, you can make a big project like this or you can make art cards. So anyway, that's coming up next. I got some haul videos coming up next. Also coming up after that. So a lot going on. Too much like always. All right, guys. Talk to you guys next video. Bye.